Hello, and welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead video, and in today's video I want to kind of talk about Fear the Walking Dead Season 8 and have like some story predictions. This is kind of a companion video to my death predictions, so if you want to know who I think is going to die, go over there to that video. It'll be in the top left right now, in a little like that eye icon. But in today's video I'll be talking about what I think is going to happen, what the story will be, and I'll kind of dive in more for when I think these death predictions that I have will happen. So let's jump right into this and talk about my predictions for how I think the story will be for Fear the Walking Dead Season 8. So first of all, I definitely think there'll be a short time jump between the last time we saw our group and now. So episode 1 will definitely pick up with either Morgan or Madison, or probably both, in this new area in Padre, and it pick up with them in Padre, a lot like how Season 6 picked up with characters in the key people bases. I feel like we're going to get the same type of story. Fear the Walking Dead writers like to kind of rehash old stories and have a very specific model they tell their stories. I definitely feel like we're going to get similar here, and definitely with Padre now knowing about everyone on the raft, they're going to find them like between the seasons and split them up. So when we see Season 8, everyone's going to be all mixed around, and with the way they tell stories, we're going to each episode pick up to where this character is, where this character is, where this character is. And I'm going to predict, I'm so confident of this, the first few episodes will all be about the group trying to find each other again, because every season since Season 6 has had that model of everyone's separated, everyone slowly conjoins back together into two or one group, and somebody at the start of the season will find a tease for the villains for the end of the season. And I feel like it's going to follow that exact same model, because the writers saw it worked for Season 6. They're going to try and capture that again, and it's definitely going to fail. So what I see is happening is that the first episode will be about Morgan or Madison showing the world. Okay, we'll see everything. And for characters, I definitely think Strand's story is going to be, it'll be a redemption arc for Strand, and we'll definitely get, I'm going to say by episode 8, episode 9, him finally meeting up with Madison, and that is when we'll meet Strand. We'll have a big moment where those two characters meet up, and they will console on each other what's happened, and that'll be the big episode 8 or 9, where they finally meet up. That's when that group finally meets up. Other characters, I can see Morgan's story is basically the heart of this season, so he is going to focus on finding baby Mo and then finding Grace. That's what I think is going to happen. Other characters that I definitely see having big story arcs will definitely be Daniel, just because I feel like what they're going to do is when they find Charlie, they'll separate Daniel and Charlie, and we'll get that story of Daniel now trying to find Charlie through Season 8. I know it sounds stupid, but it's the writers of Fear the Walking Dead. They're obviously going to redo that whole thing like they do with Ophelia, but he's now focused on Charlie. So we're going to have Daniel and Charlie trying to meet up, and then Charlie will die. I'm thinking Charlie could make it to the back half of the season just because we won't see her. They do like to keep characters around until like episode 8, where if you don't see a character up until episode 8. Look at Season 6 with Grace, Season 7 with Alicia. I feel like Charlie could have the similar impact and be around about mid-season, either 8, 9, 10, one of those 2 episodes, one of those 3 episodes, and it would be about Daniel finally finding Charlie and Charlie passing away. This is when I will also think it will be either Daniel goes on a kind of rage and then dies, or Luciana dies trying to help Daniel in some sort of way. Also, talking about characters in the arcs, I definitely think that Sherry and Dwight will be separated, and Dwight and Morgan will meet up near the start of the season, and the entire arc will be about those two characters, with the help of Madison, trying to get their families back. So we'll have another story with Sherry missing, Sherry with baby Mo because she's pregnant, and that will be kind of the story with, we won't see Sherry until the end of the arc. I see this arc ending at episode 13, 14. They always do that because they have to have 2 or 3 episodes to kind of bring in the new arc. They'll always have that, okay? Like, the lowest I can see is 12, but definitely 13, 14 is quite confident if they were going to squeeze it down, they could do it in 12, in my opinion. So we won't see Sherry. I definitely think Sherry's going to be a character that'll be missing in this, and Dwight and Morgan are doing the job. Now, characters that I think will be focused on the next villain arc, because they are going to guaranteed, I call it, follow the same model they've done for the previous 2 seasons. The characters will be June and Grace, and those characters will be focused on trying to prepare for the next villain. Like, before that, we had kind of Strand. Then we had Alicia, and I think June and Grace will be kind of the next characters, or just one of those 2. I feel like they'll be together, just because one's a nurse, and one's like kind of a radiologist, and they just treat her like a nurse a lot of the time. Like, they just be like, oh, Grace, you're now suddenly a nurse. So I definitely think those 2 characters are going to be inside Padre and treated as doctors and stuff like that. And they'll find out this uncommon threat. So by the time Morgan and Dwight and Madison get their family back and destroy Padre, they'll meet up with these 2 characters again. And they'll be like, oh yeah, there's a new villain. Their name is blah. They're even bigger than Padre. They're even massive. And I definitely think we could get a CRM connection, just because Fear the Walking has been very connected to the CRM, and the writers really care about making the show worthwhile, air quotes, and trying to make the show like, oh yeah, we're connected to The Walking Dead by like ramming a bunch of references in, ramming a bunch of the CRM in. And I definitely will get a direct connection to the CRM, and as I believe all shows kind of build up to the movies. So we're going to get a CRM connection some sort with June and Grace, in my opinion. The smaller characters, I feel like they're going to do nothing again. We'll see Windu in 1 episode. Rabbi Jacob will probably disappear like the kids did. And definitely Josiah and Sarah will maybe have 1 episode together, which will be 100% filler. And then nothing else. That's kind of my predictions for what all these characters are going to do this season. So kind of an overall summary is, I believe that it's going to follow the same kind of plot lines as the previous 2 seasons. So the first 7 to 8 episodes will be about all the groups all separated. Like, everyone's over here, so we'll get a Morgan episode 1 or 2. Then we'll probably get a Dwight episode 2 or 3, depending on when the Morgan episode is. We'll definitely get a Strand episode in the first half. I feel like we could get a random character like Luciana, or just a random small character here, just to kind of fill in what's happening to these characters. So each group, I feel like we're going to have everyone in pairs or solo, will get their own episode. Episode 7 is when I feel like we'll get a Madison episode, and that'll be about episode 7, I should say, will be when we get Madison, and that'll be about Madison and Strand finally meeting up, and the group will be finally most together. We will also probably, about then, that's when we'll get to tease for the next villain arc. Episode 9 or 10 will be when the war, or when Padre actually starts to have a fight. We start to have Padre fall down. Episode 10, I feel like I'm very confident of episode 10, will be the Daniel episode when kinda Charlie dies. We'll maybe get a death in episode 12, either Luciana or Daniel, in my opinion. The arc will end about episode 13, 14, and then the last 2 to 3 episodes will be about the next villain for season 9. We'll probably get a filler episode about episode 15, so it's more about 2 or 1 episode for the season 9 villain. And those are kind of my predictions for how the story's going to go. It's very easy to do this just because Fear has a set model for how they tell their stories. I feel like I'm pretty confident with my predictions for what each character's going to do, with Morgan and Dwight both be looking for their families, Madison helping, Strand on a redemption arc. We have Daniel looking for Charlie, Charlie dying, and then the minor characters kind of just doing nothing. But please tell me down below, what do you think of my predictions? Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? And please tell me, what do you think the season 9 villains would be? I would like to see it as maybe kind of a sickness arc. It'd be quite cool to be about sickness. That would be cool, but then you already have the radiation arc, so it could just be generic raiders or something like that. But please tell me down below what your thoughts and opinions are, what your predictions are, and if you want more Walking Dead content, please look on the screen. If you want to see my death predictions, look in the top right, because that's kind of the companion video for this. And make sure to subscribe for 2 videos a week, every week, and to keep up to date on all things Walking Dead. So goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you in a later video.